Hello Marvel Heroes fans, I'm back and let's do a video on Mr. Fantastic. I've been wanting to do that for a while, so I'm going to talk about the hero while I'm playing the game, and I hope that it's okay. So when it comes to Mr. Fantastic, he has a lot of power, a lot of cooldown power to work with, and it is really about managing all this cooldown and so on. And if you can do it well, it's actually quite fun. But somehow it is one of those heroes whereby you have to be quite realistic on what you can do, because you could potentially have a lot of power, and but it doesn't make the hero fun to play. So it's not one of those things that you have to be aware what kind of cooldown power you like to engage into. So I pick something that is easy to execute, doesn't really have a lot of oops, I missed the punch, doesn't really have a lot of how should I say, a lot of dancing that requires so on, and doesn't really root you in the kind of game like sometimes in this kind of game, when you pick some of the power, it kind of roots you in one place and the animation is slow and so on. So I try to avoid those. And I'm going into the boss, and always you observe the outwit. Okay, so there are a couple of things you need to make sure you need to do. First of all, you need to make sure that your little pad is here. Somehow, for some reason, it doesn't really come on board all the time. And I choose the right toggle, so I'm choosing the accuracy toggle. So I, depending on whether it's hard content or not hard content, I choose the accuracy versus toughness. So that's all the toggle I need to do. And observe when you have cooldown and you have outwit buff, that buff all the power you have. So usually I'll just go in, observe the buff, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Then after that, signature. This signature whereby he's like a ball. And right now it's a little bit bug. Sometimes I tried last night and sort of it doesn't really do what I want to do, and everything is just it's disabled, so it's not. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So yeah, I mean, as you can see, Mr. Fantastic is pretty fantastic when it comes to burst damage and so on. But there's a lot of cooldown power to manage, like you've seen here. And let's do another one. And oops, a little bit of lag here. So and actually, when it comes to Mr. Fantastic, there are quite a lot of power you can choose from, and I'll go through them one by one with you later on, and on why I choose certain power and so on. He has a lot of you can see that he has a lot of utility when it comes to all this Super Storm, which is the one that he just jump in, and you have the Giant Punch as well, which is the one that is the second bar on cooldown. All right, so all these are melee range, so he's very much a melee hero, although there are some range power as well. And that was just an inflate, by the way, that he can replenish both his health as well as the this one inflate. Both his health as well as their spirit. So that is one way for you to sort of get your spirit right. And okay, so there's another group here. Alright, so that is the one Giant Punch. And then there's also one called the Hyperstatic Inducer that is very much like this guy here. It follows the mob kind of thing. So as the mob move, it follows. So it's actually pretty decent and nice. Alright, so if you pay attention to a cooldown, you realize that the cooldown actually it's actually dynamically reduce the cooldown as you crit and brutal and so on. So that is also very nice. So now it's boss time. Our weight is 3 stacks. You can see the 3 stack there. Alright, okay, the boss has a shield on. Now the inducer is here. One. You can also stand down to do something like vulnerability debuff. I'll show you a stand dance a little bit. Not stand dance, hotbar dancing. So there's one thing that I, even when I try to do it one hotbar, how I don't like hotbar dancing in this game. It's actually quite hard not to do it, because there's something called the hang on. It's called the gravitation emitter, which is basically a like this one here. So usually, if I really want to, I can do vulnerability debuff, 10% extra power. So if I want to, I can do that. But having said that, it's going to be quite quite tedious when you do dancing here and there. So it's up to you whether you want to do it or not. But it's something that because I have a mouse that sort of like this one, the inducer, it kind of pull everybody together. And but I just have a mouse that does it quite nicely, so I don't really have a lot of complaint on this one. But I know some of you are not very happy doing hotbar dancing. So that is the inducer itself, and you can't really see sometimes when the mob die, even when you induce, so kind of like it disappears. So you follow the mob itself. Alright, so there's a big chunk of it. I mean, if you can see, all these are very, very, relaxing when you come when you play Mr. Fantastic here. So I'm going to go into the boss, and the hope that give you a sort of like, some kind of sense how it plays like. Alright, so there's a boss time here. 3 stacks of our wit. How many? Oh, maybe I take down a few more because then I can do the bounty. Alright, so just a few more mobs, I can get my bounty, and come on man, bounty is available. I think I can get the mobs inside for that. So just going in, 3 stack of our wit, 1, 2, 3, 4 in. Okay, and after that the signature, which is very nice, and I can actually reset my cooldown. Very much like a Star-Lord. I mean, it's actually developed in the era of the Star-Lord as well. You can reset a cooldown. You can reset all the cooldown, including you can do a back-to-back signature as well. So that is very nice. I'll show you a little bit later when I get to the harder content, because I don't think this is really that hard. But sort of like I would like to just show you how he plays that in a cosmic terminal. Just give me kind of like a slower pace to explain a little bit things, because things tend to be a little bit intense when it comes to the cosmic patrol, and sort of like all the rotation just threw it off the window. So yeah, okay, so next bit is the cosmic patrol. Okay, Industrial City Patrol, cosmic version with Mr. Fantastic, and it's just he's pretty durable actually in a cosmic environment, as long as you so I get some gear, and I've got like 26,000 health, so kind of help as well. So I mean, if you see what I'm doing right now, just mashing all the buttons and make sure that whenever my cooldown, my abilities on cooldown, I just use it. That's about it. And right now it's Odin event, so there's a lot of nice chests around. I wanted to make this video earlier on though, but it ended up like soloing the whole thing because no one's around. Everybody's like playing terminal and so on. So yeah, so that is the reality when there's Odin event happening. Okay, one more to go. Okay, signature here. It's quite relaxing. Just have to be aware where I'm hitting, because sometimes it may kind of like bite back at me if I'm not hitting the right stuff or be at the right place. Alright, so I'm trying my best to kind of loot here. It's kind of confusing. It is very much to you as to me, and because there's just too much junks on the floor. It's just so hard to see. So I'm getting it, and I think the next one is going to be the minus Titan. So I'm trying to loot here, and sometimes very challenging in this game. A lot of junks here. Alright, so the last one is the let's just head to the minus Titan, and the way he walks is really hilarious. It's like a little puppy. That's how I see it. And yeah, my wife always laughs at me when I play him. Okay, so minus Titan need to be a little bit aware of what's happening, especially that he can do all those beams that can be quite okay. Now is the time when they go away. Alright, just not worth risking it. 5 of them, and after that I'm going to reset my okay, reset. Alright, I got a bit of stun here, a little bit of lag here, so it's not that ideal. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, get out. Yeah, this is the thing that sometimes is quite fortunate that someone stunned the minus Titan. When you are in a little ball shape, sometimes it's a little bit hard to get out, even if you want to. So okay, get out. You can never quite understand where he's going to do his thing for the minus Titan. I mean, all those stamps I can eat it, that's fine. It is just the beam that I can't. Alright, just be a bit careful here. And okay, the 4. Alright, so that's it. So that is, basically that is the cosmic patrol for you. Playing him is just little awareness of what's happening, and get out, I need to loot. Alright, so need to get out from there as well. Alright, so back to the training room, talk a little bit about his build and gear and so on. In this part of the video, let's talk about the build, the rotation, as well as gear and so on. Alright, so now when it comes to the build, like I mentioned before, I picked something that is relatively responsive, and So when it comes to Mr. Fantastic, for the main spender, there are a couple of options. Things like the barrage is one option, and but I find that barrage sort of like root you there a little bit. So I sort of like in the end I picked the stretch punch with that. It doesn't really punch that hard though. I mean, if you look at the numbers later, I think Mr. Fantastic still requires some sort of like a tuning in some way. So that is one that I use. And as for the layering, so you first pick the main spender. After that, you pick the layering. So as for the layering, there are a couple of good options. Giant Punch is one that hit pretty hard. It has a cooldown of 5 seconds. Again, because all these cooldown may get reset. Not reset, I mean, reduce as you crit or as you... so if you take a look at this one here, it sort of like reduce the cooldown of all power by 1 second when you critically hit or brutal strike. So, these are some of the passive that make Mr. Fantastic quite interesting to play because things are not that stagnant. So, all this cooldown, on paper it is as such, but then, as you crit and brutal, it get faster, the whole reset time. And so that's one layer that I would recommend. There are other things as well. I don't really fancy those things. I can show you some numbers later. And the other one that I really enjoy is the Super Storm because it does knock down. It helps to mitigate some of the damage. And it hits pretty hard as well, so I recommend this one. Of course, his signature Spectacular Spheroid is one of the really hilarious one. He become a big giant ball, but right now there's some bug somewhere that sometimes when I use it, it doesn't. All my power is being disabled, so I can't really use anything, just like a sitting duck. But when it works, it really works out quite well. But it is not invulnerable when you use it, so be careful. You only negate damage by 30%. So if you are somewhat near to the sphere of the man ape or he's sort of like slammed, so you may get killed by or he may get killed by man ape and so on. So pay attention to all this stuff, and it's also one of the reasons why I think Mr. Fantastic is one of those heroes whereby he's not a tank, but he's more of like a melee DPS. You still need to be aware of all the situation around you and get out of trouble. All right, so that's one. So I've got 3 layers already, and the third layer I would recommend is the Hyperstatic Inducer. It has a pretty nice area damage that stick to the mobs, and also nearby. But I realized that I think when the mob dies, it die with it as well. So just pick whoever mob that is probably the highest health mob, like the boss. All right, so that's one that I recommend. And after that, after this couple of layers, now Inflate is one of those really interesting power. It recover spirit, it recover health. So as you can imagine, the damage output is actually very, very low. So because that's how the game balance, right? Otherwise, this power becomes too overpowering. It has a kind of long cooldown as well, but with the crit and brutal, you can bring it down a little bit. So I would say now you don't have to max this one. I kind of max it because I like the fact that I can regenerate 2,000 health every time I use it, which is about 5 to 7 seconds time kind of like cooldown with the crit and brutal. But the best thing about it is to recover the spirit, so I don't need to be reliant on the med kit so much to get some health and spirit back. So that is very nice. And after that, okay, so another option is to do the gravitation emitter, which apply the vulnerability. But as you know, all this power become very, how should I say, they are not that high DPS when it comes to, because it does have all these benefits that buff all your power by plus 10%. So I don't think it's worth putting in more than 1 point to it, but the judgmental call is up to you. And then after that, I run out of points to put in because I could put in for this one, Positron Emitter. How it works is this: whenever you have 3 stacks of outwit, you can use this one channel for 2 seconds, and it's actually quite a very nice kind of like channel power as well. But in reality, I find it very hard to first of all fit into the toolbar because I need every single power here except the left and right buttons are cooldown. So I need to observe cooldown. Now I could potentially move some of them into a F2 and F3 and F4 key, but then it make the game really, really clunky for me. And when it comes to Positron, It's nice. I think the cable, for example, the cable has something similar. You can channel for the ordnance, specialization. You could channel a certain gun power for 2 seconds. But then it doesn't have all these conditions, all these fine prints. Like you must have like 3 stack of outwit to do it. And to do 3 stack of outwit is not hard, but you just need to mesh a lot of cooldown, including the cooldown that you may or may not use. So it become, I think, to keep the uptime of this guy here is not that easy, because sometimes you want to also prioritize with your signature with spectacular spheroid as well. So in the end, I've decided not to take positron emitter, but if you can manage the kind of cooldown and also be aware things that are not on this hotbar, on another hotbar, I can still manage all the cooldown, then yeah, you could potentially make a lot out from it. And then all you need to do is just minus all the points from all these things into here to give it another max power. All right, so so for me, remaining point I dump it into elastic body, because a bit of defense is always good, and they are remaking the dodge and defense, so I don't know what they will make out of it. All right, so that is basically the power itself. When it comes to omega points, it's always very standard. 10 point on spin tag. Then after that, a bit of health regen, and as a physical melee hero, then I value the 5-point super soldier serum as well as the river program, and then also 13 points to give you more crit. I think that should be the first priority if your omega point is low. A bit of another 5 point with the kind of like a health as well, skill suppression as well as tactical neural implants. Those are very good notes in general for any hero really. And it comes to 9 on Warpath, and then 4 point on Sabertooth, and 6 on the Frenzy. So that is what you have. And as for the hero synergy, just make sure you pick Ant-Man because it's +1 strength, and the rest of it just pick crit, physical crit, and physical damage. And I would recommend things like She-Hulk also is pretty nice because it gives you health regen, a little bit of it, and also of course the War Machine, which is +1 fighting. Now onto the gear. A big thank you for the Herbs, because first of all he inspired me to play this Mr. Fantastic, because I always have a lot of fun playing with him, and he's telling me all these big brutal numbers from his signature, and my signature is nowhere close to his signature, by the way, so that is really remarkable. And also he donated a lot of those artifacts for me, more than I could fit into my 4 artifacts here, so thank you, Herbs. And the artifacts here, there are many options when it comes to physical heroes, and which is great. So the one that I would recommend probably is the if you have Hand of Doom, use it. Gem of Curse, use it. The Gorilla Necklace, also use it. But in the end, so many good things, I can't really fit them all here. What I really prefer also is I value a bit of health, because like I mentioned, Mr. Fantastic could be a little bit fragile if you don't kind of pay attention to, if you kind of like some of the external environment may be against you while you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. So a bit of health usually helps, so I prefer this one. And Metasensory is good because I don't think all my power, all my power is just hitting 50 for some of them. Still quite a fair bit to go for the others. I'm still farming gear, so I don't know, but so that is on the artifact. On the now, because of majority of his damage, at least the one that I chose, the melee, the only range is really the hyperstatic inducer, so I would recommend Curse because it has the normal damage as well as a crit, and brutal side of it. It's always good to have that kind of like a setup. And initially I wasn't sure whether I would go the emitter or not, so I picked crit damage rating, but in retrospect I would probably use a melee relics, because I always believe that I should save all these crit damage rating relics for heroes that are truly hybrid, like Captain America or War Machine, yes, War Machine. I always keep saying the wrong thing for War Machine. Sorry about that. And another one is the Lady of the Sword, which is the one that, because there's so much melee power going on, so I would recommend this one. But there are other choices as well. If you like God of Mischief, that could potentially buff your signature a little bit as well, and the and +1 to all power, I think. So that is on the rune words, and of the For grade 70 legendary is Gungnir. For grade 80 would be the axe. All right. So ring wise, just pick anything that has the physical and damage. Melee damage or whatnot. But if you have those ICP ring, use it. If you have those limbo ring, use it. You can do much better than I do. All right. So I think his unique is all right. I tried to actually look into one of the Fantastic Four unique. So at the end, I still would prefer to take this one, because if you look at all these plus ranks, they are very relevant to my power, the tool set. The only thing that I don't use is the positional emitter, which is that one just now you saw. But the rest of it I use them all. Of course, no elastic barrage as well. When it comes to the insignia, I would prefer something that is crit and crit damage rating, because his crit reduce the cooldown, so it's very nice to have his crit on as high as you can get. And when it comes to pets, this is the standard one. And I do have two costumes for Mr. Fantastic, but one is the crit damage rating, the other one is health. But then at the end of the day, I just leave it as a health, because I play the patrol most of the time, and I don't really use him to farm stuff, so health costume work for me. But you could equally well to have crit damage rating as well, but just need to be a little bit careful when it comes to the cosmic patrol. The content could be a little bit hard. All right. So the next bit is about rotation. So onto the rotation. First of all, make sure your Herbie is up, because it gives you the Constitution team buff as well as do a stun. But the pet itself does no damage. So that's one. And the second one is that you could use okay, let me show you my hotbar setup so you understand what I'm toggling to. So F1 is my stretch dash, F2 is my crowd control breaker, F3 is my gravitation emitter that give me the kind of vulnerability debuff. So usually what I do is that I'll send the emitter in, I'll do a super storm, giant punch, and after that do the hyperstatic inducer, do an inflate, because that will replenish my spirit up to full. And after that I can do the spectacular spheroid, that's my signature. And after that I can repeat the gravitational thing 1, 2, 3, and 4. And after that I can do outwit to refresh all timer. Once that all timer is being reset, what do? You repeat the same thing again, and this time around you can do another signature as well. So I'm going to fast forward the whole thing. And the one thing about the Mr. Fantastic also is you can't really press the button too fast, because when you do it, it kind of skip, and it's sort of like I don't know, this game just is not that responsive when it comes to, or maybe just because my latency is a bit 300 ms, so it just register. So anyway, this is the fast forward action. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After that signature, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And after that okay, and okay, so after that reset timer, and after that 1, 2, 3, 4. Then after that signature again. All right, so that is the one. And so that is the one that I do. And after that you can do the same thing again. So then you just, after that you just keep hitting. And like I said to you, all this become like the cooldown sort of changes quite a fair bit. So depend on what crit or not. So it's a lot. It's pretty fast action if you think about it. Like looking at this I'm doing right now, and the ball is on. So it's spectacular again. So that is the thing. All right. So just keep hitting, and after that gravitational whatever. And all right. So that is the how you play the Mr. Fantastic. Quite a lot of button to mash actually. And all right, so that is therapeutic. You just keep practicing. All right, so and of course the priority to inflate is probably the least of priority, because these two are the one that give you the DPS. And now of course you have to keep the emitter up, but the emitter is the gravitational emitter. It lasts for 6.7 seconds, so you don't need to go crazy over it. Just but you don't really have a reference when it comes to that debuff. So as and when you feel like throwing one, they just throw one. All right, so that is the rotation. Let's look into the numbers. So when it comes to analyzing the power and so on, I usually take off all the gears and so on, because that would looking at it from a game design perspective. So the basic is just a benchmark for me to sort of like know where the hero is, and you can see that things like stretch punch, which already buffed by the 40%, is actually pretty low if you think about it, because as a main spender, melee as well, with no other tag, I'm expecting like 34,000, 35,000. Sometimes I've seen 37,000 in the recent heroes. So that's where the tune-up is going wrong. Sometimes you see all this number. However, his cooldown is actually pretty good, so it may be something that compensated. So Giant Punch with 3 outwit is like close to 10k as a cooldown power. So that is actually pretty remarkable. And bear in mind that all this will get increased as you crit and so on, because your cooldown get refreshed, or at least the cooldown duration get reduced. All right, so things like elastic barrage, if you look at these two numbers, you immediately know that which one kind of wins the whole game. And some of these are like okay, it's nice to see the animation, but it's not something that you would like to as your something to rely on. Alright, so Inflate is the one that replenishes health and spirit, so as you can imagine, the DPS is not high. Superstorm is the one that give you a pretty decent cooldown damage, about 7.5k. That's within my expectation, and it's area damage as well. Signature hits pretty hard. I mean, usually signature don't really hit that hard, so that is really nice. But I guess it compensates with the kind of animation duration as well, because the whole animation for the spectacular spheroid is actually quite long if you think about the 5 hits that you have. And after that, the this is the emitter, which is the gravitation emitter, which is the vulnerability debuff. And that's why I said I'm not really keen on maxing this guy, because the DPS is pretty low. But then you could put it max as well, up to you. And hyperstatic inducer is also quite a nice layer as well. It's just that it's range, and if your gear is towards melee, then this will not be as high. But nevertheless, it's an extra layer. It's always good. And then at the end, positron emitter is showing very high DPS. Considering that, assuming that it's a 5-second cooldown, you can actually time it yourself. But consider all things. It's about the playability as well, because if you do a lot of this, like positron and whatnot, your main spender actually go down as well, the DPS. So it kind of like balance out. So depending on what you want to do, how complex you want to play this game. All right. So I hope this video has been useful for Mr. Fantastic, and he's one of my favorite hero in the sense that because the whole elastic feature and so on, I think it's quite unique. And I've not really a lot of complaint on him, so I hope you enjoy playing Mr. Fantastic as well. And till next time we see each other, goodbye.